Okay, you got to take yourself off though, Danny.
Nope.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I am so sorry we are a few minutes late. We were having some computer problems, but here we are now. So, welcome to today's live stream. So, today we are going to learn about countable and uncountable nouns. So, this is something that can be very useful. It's a grammar point that has a few different ways that we can use it, and we'll see why and how it is important. So, as always, as you watch the lesson, please make sure to comment your questions or concerns, English questions in the comment section. And after the lesson, I will go through and answer some of your questions. So you can leave a question at any time, and then after the lesson, I will answer your questions or try to. So I see we have some hellos in the comments. So I see hello from Lolly Lolly on YouTube. Hello, Lolly Lolly. Thank you so much. I see a very big comment. Maybe that's not the one we want to look at. So let's take that off. Having some technical difficulties. Can we get this comment off of the screen, please? Hey. Okay, well, guys, for some reason, this comment is not being removed. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, hello to everyone in the comment section who is saying hello. I'm so happy to see you here today. So let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and begin our lesson. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, guys, you should see my screen now. Okay, so let's go ahead and really get started on our lesson. So today, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about countable and uncountable nouns. So just a moment. Just want to make sure that everything is as it should be. Yes, okay, great. So today we are going to learn about some different kinds of nouns, countable and uncountable. So one of the reasons this is an important point is because it changes if we are going to say how many or how much. And there are some other words that change depending on if we use a countable noun or an uncountable noun. So let's begin with the simple question, what is a noun? A noun is a part of speech. So like a verb or an adjective like this. A noun is a part of speech in every language. So a noun is a word that is used to reference or refer to a thing, like the word book, pencil, cup, tree. A person, like teacher Sarah, you, right? My friend, my teacher, my doctor, and so on. Those are all nouns. Animals, cat, dog, horse, chicken. Places, place names like New York, or places like house, supermarket, and so on. Qualities, like softness or happiness, are nouns. Ideas, like the word justice, or some actions, like yodeling or running, things like this, that may look like verbs, but we can also use them as nouns in sentences. For example, if I say, I like running, in that sentence, running would be a noun. So this is something we've talked about before, how actions can be nouns. But usually in English, we say a noun is a person, place, or thing, and or an animal. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward. What is a noun? So nouns can be countable or uncountable. So let's take a look. What does it mean to count? Counting, of course, is when we see how many of something there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is counting. There are some things we can count, and some things, some nouns, that we cannot count. So let's go ahead and go through and see these. Here we have 6 nouns. So can we count these things? So let's begin with number 1, teacher. Can I count teachers? Can I say 1 teacher, 5 teachers, 10 teachers? Yes, I can. This means teacher is a countable noun. So if you watched last week's live stream where we talked about prefixes and suffixes, we learned that the suffix able means can. So countable means it's something you can count. We can count teachers, right? 10 teachers, 100 teachers, 10 million teachers. We can count it. How about number 2, rain? Can I say there is 1 rain or 2 rains or 10 rains? No. We cannot count rain. We might just say there's a lot of rain, or some rain, or no rain. This means that rain is uncountable. So again, if we look at our prefix and suffix, we know that able means can, and un means not. So uncountable means we cannot count it. So rain is uncountable. Okay, let's take a look at number 3, restaurant. Can we count restaurants? 10 restaurants, 50 restaurants? Yes, we can. So restaurant is countable. Number 4, homework. Can I count homework? Can I say I have 1 homework today or 10 homeworks today? So it may seem like it, but actually, no, this is uncountable. We just say I have a lot of homework. I have a little homework.
No, like 140,000
guys, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Please wait.
No, but I mean, a woman is just guaranteed gold.
A white woman for Arabs?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Very sorry about this today.
Oh.
So are you guys all riding?
Oh, no.
Hey, Danny, your sound and video is on right now. Guys, very sorry about the technical difficulties today. Let's go ahead and continue in our lesson. Very sorry about that. Let's go ahead and try again. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my screen one more time. Just wait a moment. Thank you for the comments. There is some cacophony on your side. Yeah, you're right. There was a lot of background noise. My goodness. Okay, let's continue. All right, here we go. So back to our lesson. So here we see We went through that teacher is countable, rain is uncountable, restaurant is countable. Okay, there we go. Good. Glad to see the PowerPoint is back up. Homework, uncountable, right? We cannot count. Computer. Now, can we count computer? Can I say I have 10 computers and 11 computers? Yes. Computer is a countable noun. And last, we have equality, happiness. This is a noun, right? Something you can have. So can I say that I have 10 happinesses? No. So here we see the difference between nouns that we can count and nouns we cannot count. So let's go ahead and talk about these bit by bit. So first, let's take a little bit of a closer look at countable nouns. So as I mentioned, countable nouns are nouns that can be counted, like teacher, restaurant, or computer. So here's a tip. How can you know a noun is countable? Countable nouns usually become plural by adding s. So if you don't know, what does this word mean? Plural. Plural is when we have more than one of something. So if I have one cup, that is singular because there is one. Plural, I have 2 cups, more than one, right? So countable nouns like cup usually become plural by adding s. So for example, teacher would become teachers, restaurants, computers. This is one tip for if we know that nouns are countable. Now, not every countable noun can we add s to. For example, the word man is a countable noun, but we don't say mans, we say men, right? So countable nouns usually become plural by adding s. But remember, in a case like this word, man, men, person, people, woman, women, women, then you cannot add s. It just means it's a tip you can look for. So with countable nouns and uncountable nouns, there are some words we can use before with countable nouns and some that we can only use with uncountable nouns. For example, as we saw on the last slide, I cannot use a word like a number with an uncountable noun. I cannot say I have 10 rain, right? I can't use numbers. So there are different quantifiers or words that describe how much of something I can use with countable nouns versus uncountable nouns. So, for example, with countable nouns, things we can count, I can use the words a, an, and the. A restaurant, the computer. I can use numbers like 1, 2, or 3. 1 teacher, 2 restaurants, 3 computers. I can use words like a few, and fewer. There are a few restaurants in this city. There are fewer restaurants in that town over there. I can use the words a lot, many, and several. There are many computers in the computer lab. Several teachers are going on vacation next week. I can also use these words all, some, any, lots of, plenty of, and enough. So these we can actually use with both countable and uncountable nouns. So they're good words to use in any case. Some teachers teach math. Lots of restaurants around here are busy today. And there are enough computers for everyone to use. So here we have a quick list of the quantifiers we can use with countable nouns. So let's take a look at how we use these in a sentence. So with countable nouns, we use the question, how many? So remember, many is a word we can only use with countable nouns. So it also is our question, how many? So we're going to look at some different examples of sentences using how many, countable and uncountable nouns. So let's begin. Here we have the question, how many restaurants are there? We could also ask, are there many restaurants? And to answer, how many restaurants are there? There are 3 restaurants. Are there many? Yes, there are a few. So here we see the 2 basic question forms we can use with countable nouns. How many or are there many? There are 3. There are a few. There are some, right? Number 2, how many apartment buildings are there? Or are there many apartment buildings? So how many? Sorry guys, there we go. How many are there? There are 10 apartment buildings. Are there many? Yes, there are a lot. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. How many or are there many? Here we're looking at swimming pools. How many swimming pools are there? There is 1. Are there many? Now let's see what happens when we are saying no. No, there aren't many. There are not many. There are just a few. So what are we noticing here? Often when we ask how many, we want a specific number. There are 3, there are 10, there is 1. And if we're asking, are there many? Often we use words like a few, a lot, or not many. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. How many schools are here? Or are there many schools? So this is an example of when we don't have to use a number. We can also answer, there are a lot of schools here, or yes, there are a lot of schools. So remember, with countable nouns, we use how many. And to quantify the quantifiers before our nouns, we can use numbers like 3, 10, and 1, or words like a few, a lot, and many. So make sure you can rewind, look at that list, or you can download this PowerPoint. All right, next let's take a look at uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns cannot be counted. So remember, can, not, count. So these are words like rain, homework, and happiness, like we saw in our table. So with uncountable nouns, we have different quantifiers. I cannot say I have 10 happiness or 32 homework, right? But I can use the. Look at the rain. I can use much, little, a little bit of, or some. I have some homework. I have a little homework. And again, we see those words that as I mentioned, we can use for countable or uncountable nouns. All, any, lots of, plenty of, and enough. Finally, with uncountable nouns, we can also use exact measurements like 1 tablespoon or 3 millimeters, like this. For example, I could say there were 3 millimeters of rain yesterday, right? I can use an exact measurement, but not numbers like 1, 2, or 3 alone. It has to have a measurement like tablespoon, millimeter, miles, kilometers, and so on. Okay, so let's take a look at these. So remember, with countable nouns, we use how many, but with uncountable nouns, we use how much. How much. So let's look at our examples. How much pollution is there? Or is there much pollution? So here our noun is pollution. I cannot count pollution. I can say there is some pollution, there's a lot of pollution, but I can't say, oh, there is 100 pollution today. right? Let's look at how we could answer. There is not a lot of pollution here. Is there much? No, there isn't much. So here we see that we are not answering with a number, right? There's not a lot. I could also use an exact measurement. Today, the pollution level is 50 ppm. This is an exact measurement we would use, right? We can use that, but we can't just say there's 10 pollution, right? And if we ask, is there much? No, there isn't much. Yes, there's a lot. And one thing we'll see as we move on is with the question, is there much? We always use is, okay? So how much crime is there? Is there much crime? There is a lot of crime in the city. Is there much crime? Yes, there's a lot. Let's take a look at noise. How much noise? Another noun we cannot count. I can't say there is 100 noise, right? No. I can say there is some noise. Is there much? Yes, there's a little. So remember, words like a little, some, a lot, these are words we can use with uncountable nouns. And last, how much traffic is there? Or is there much traffic? There is no traffic, or there isn't any. So we can see that there are a few ways we can answer no. Is there much? No, there isn't much. This means there's some, there's a little. If there's none, we can say there isn't any. Okay, so here, if we notice, we're not using numbers, right? And there's no S on the end of these uncountable nouns either because we cannot count them. I can't say pollutions or noise. Well, I could say noises, but that would be in a different way. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to do some examples. So here we have 8 nouns. We're going to decide, are they countable or uncountable? And then see, would we use how many or how much? So first we have apples. Apples are countable. One way that I know is because when it's plural, I add an S. This means I can count them. So I might ask a question like, how many apples are there? Let's take a look at shoes. So what do you think? Can I count shoes? Yes, I can. And one way, again, that we can know is with that S. So I might say, how many shoes are in the store? With countable nouns, we use how many, right? How many. Okay, let's take a look at the noun food. Can I count food? You might think so, and we can count items of food like apples or slices of pizza or chips, right? But just the noun food is actually uncountable. I can only say something like, I have some food, I have a lot of food. I can't say, I have 10 food. So here I would use how much. How much food did you eat? Next, let's take a look at students. Students are countable, right? We have that S. So I use how many. How many students go here? Next, the noun fun. So I might say, are you having fun, for example? So here, would this be countable or uncountable? Can I say I have 10 fun? No, I can only use words like some, a lot, or a little. So I would use how much. How much fun did you have? I had a lot of fun, right? I can't say I had 100 fun. Next, we see the word pollution, which we saw in our uncountable example. So I might ask a question like, how much pollution is in the air today? So I might say there's a lot of pollution today. There's not much pollution today. There isn't any pollution today. All right, next let's take a look at books. So here with books, we see an S. This is our little hint that it is countable. How many books will you read this year? And finally, money. This is a tricky one. So can I say, yes, I have 10 money or 100 money? Actually, money is an uncountable noun. I can use an exact amount, like when I'm talking about dollars or like this, $100. But if I'm just using the noun money, this is uncountable. How much money is in the safe? There's a lot of money, there's a little money, there's $1,000 in the safe, an exact amount. So as you see, this can be a little bit tricky. But one hint, remember to look for S, right? Our countable nouns here all have S, which is usually or most often a sign that it's countable. But of course, even though we have these rules, there are exceptions. Some nouns might be countable in your language, but are uncountable in English, which means they have to follow the rules for uncountable nouns, which means using how much. And those words like some, not many, and so on, or not much, not any, and so on. So here are some of the most common nouns that might look like they're countable, but they're actually uncountable. So these includes the words accommodation, advice, baggage, behavior, bread, furniture, hair, information, luggage, news, progress, traffic, travel, trouble, weather, and work. So you guys can go ahead and look through these. So some of these we already saw, like traffic. I said, is there much traffic? There is no traffic, or there is some traffic. So we wouldn't say traffics. Also with the word hair. This is a common mistake that English learners will make. I would say something like, you have a lot of hair, not something like you have many hairs, right? We use it as an uncountable noun. So let's see an example sentences with some of these words. I would like to give you some advice. I cannot say one advice or two advices. Some advice, a little advice, a lot of advice. How much bread should I bring? I wouldn't say how many breads. I would say how much bread. You should bring 2 loaves of bread. Remember, we can use exact amounts, exact measurements. Or you should bring a little bread. I didn't make much progress today. He has a lot of hair on his arm. We did a little work yesterday. So notice that with each of these, we cannot add S, right? If we're using it as a noun, like this. So this means we have to use the rules of uncountable nouns, using words like some, much, a lot, or a little. All right, so now that we have had a great opportunity to see some words that are countable, some words that are uncountable, and some exceptions, let's just quickly look through this example and try to see if we can quickly decide to use much or many. All right, so let's take a look at our nouns. Here we have stars, people, birds, water, money, countries, bread, bones, sand, and information. So let's see, are these countable or uncountable? So stars, we have an S, right? I can count stars. These are countable. People. Can I say there are 10 people or 100 people? Yes, I can. They are countable. How about birds? There again, we see our S. They are countable. So this means our first three, because they are countable, we would use how many. How many stars? How many people? How many birds? Because these are things we can count. Let's take a look at our next two. Here we have water. Can I say, I have 10 water in my cup? No, I can say I have some water. Uncountable. And for number 5, we see money. Now I can use an exact measurement, but I can't say I have 10 monies, right? So also uncountable. This means we use much. How much water is in the ocean? A lot of water. How much money is in the bank? Not much, right? Okay, next we have countries. We see our S. This is countable. There are 50 countries in this area, right? How many? Next, we see bread. So if you remember, bread was one of our exceptions. It is uncountable. How much bread? Bones, we have our S. It's countable. We use how many? Number 9, we see sand. Can I count sand? There's 10 sand, 100 sand. This is uncountable. How much sand? And the same is true for the noun information. It is uncountable. I can say I have some information, a lot of information, but I can't say I have 10 information, right? So uncountable. So the last thing we're going to look at is the subject-verb agreement. When we use a plural, we use are, and when we use singular, we use is, right? Countable nouns can take singular or plural verbs. For example, our neighbor is singing at the competition tonight, or our neighbors are singing, right? Our neighbors are countable, so I can use is or are. But uncountable nouns are considered singular, which if you remember means one, and only take singular verbs. The furniture needs to be replaced. So we use the furniture, our uncountable noun, as like the word it. It needs to be replaced. My luggage has been checked in. So even if I have a lot of luggage, I still use luggage, the noun, as a singular, which is why I would use has instead of have, or needs instead of need. The last tip we'll look at today, sometimes uncountable nouns end with S, so you might think they should be plural, but they're uncountable, so they still use a singular verb. For example, news. The news is not good. Or mathematics is a very important subject. So news and mathematics are uncountable. They end in S always, but it doesn't mean it's plural. That's just the word. That's just the word just ends in an S. So be careful about that and always look and ask, can I count? Can I say I have 10 newses or 30 mathematicses? No, it is uncountable, so we use the singular ending. Okay, guys, that's it for our lesson today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's see if we have any questions. So here I saw thank you for explaining. Yes, you're very welcome. I'm very glad. I see a lot of examples. A lot of you guys. Thank you so much for. I see a comment up here at 9:21 from Shahida. How many money? Money should be countable. So again, if we look at the example of money, money is the noun money is uncountable. I cannot say how many money. I would say how much money. That's right. Thank you, Lolly Lolly. I would say how much money. And why? Because I cannot say I have 10 money. I have 100 money, right? I can't count the noun money. I can use the noun dollars or pennies or quarters to talk about money, and that is countable. I can say I have $10. $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10. That noun is countable. But the noun money is uncountable. There's a lot of money, there's a little money. I might never be able to borrow this amount of money. Yeah, very good. And as we see in your sentence, we're not using monies, right? We're not adding an S to that. It's an uncountable noun. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Could you teach us how to use the word equal? What the word equal means? Equal means two things are the same. So this could mean there are some different uses for this. I could say, for example, often equal is used in math. 1 + 1 = 2. Or if I say two people are equal, it means they are the same. Not their personality is the same, but this might mean they have the same opportunities or the same rights, the same ability to do things. They are equal. They have the same rights. Or let's say I have a business and I have two managers, right? They are equal. They have the same amount of power. So usually if we are using equal in a sentence to talk about people, it means they have the same amount of something: power, responsibility, rights, and so on. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Let's see, just looking through. Oh, someone asked, how about human? We just got that comment, countable or uncountable. Well, can I say 1 human, 2 humans, 3 humans? I can. So human is a countable noun. Thank you so much, Malik, for your question. That would be countable, just like person is countable. 1 person, 2 people. And actually, I did see a comment, I think from our regular viewer, Alyssa, about seeing the word persons. So sometimes this is actually has a different meaning. And I also saw someone ask about the word fish. So usually these words like person, person is usually a countable noun, right? 1 person, 2 people, many people, 100 people, 1,000 people. If I am describing people from different countries, for example, maybe I have French people and Ethiopian people and Chinese people and so on, I might describe them as peoples of different countries, because they are a group of people, right? So if I'm looking at different groups of people, I might say peoples or persons. So those are good questions. That's something that perhaps we'll talk about more next week. And the same is true of fish. Usually fish is used the same. It is countable. I can say I have 1 fish, 2 fish, 10 fish. And usually we don't add S to that unless we're talking about different kinds of fish. So let's say, just like if I have French people, Ethiopian people, and Chinese people all together, I might say peoples of different countries. The same is true. Let's say I have 10 salmon, 10 tuna, and 10 sharks. I would say I have fishes, because there are many different kinds. But if it's just one kind, I just keep it the simple fish. So that's a tricky one. That's something that we could actually do a whole lesson on. Yes, I see Edgard wrote fish, fish. Yes. Very good. Okay, so, well, guys, I think I'm going to just look through one more time to see. Thank you guys so much for your comments and questions. And I love to see, as we're going through examples like that, when you type the answers, much, many, how many. Thank you guys so much. I really like seeing that you're practicing with the lesson because that is a great way to learn. Okay, so here we'll talk about one more question. So someone commented, Alyssa commented, how many times or how much time? Oh, this is a good one. So time can have two different meanings. So if I'm talking about time, like 1 hour, 2 hours, the time of day, that is uncountable. I can't say I have 10 time. I can say I have a lot of time, I don't have much time, or I have some time today, some free time, right? So time, if we're talking about like a clock, is uncountable. But there's another meaning for time, which means like try to do something. So, and this is countable, and I could say how many times. So, for example, if I say, let's say your computer is broken and you keep trying to fix it, and you have tried 10 times. So, this is how many, what number of, it's hard to say without you, how many times you tried. It's difficult to describe without using the word times. It's the number of tries. So if I say, for example, how many times have you tried to fix your computer? I have tried 10 times. So it depends on the noun. Time, like tick tock, uncountable. Times, like tries, how many times have you been to New York? How many times have you seen your friend in the last week? Oh, 5 times, 10 times. That's countable, but clock time is uncountable. So thank you for that great question. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up. Thank you for your questions. So you guys, I love seeing your questions because they show that, wow, there are so many lessons that we can do, even about something that seems as simple as countable or uncountable nouns. So thank you so much for your questions. Thank you for participating in the lesson, asking questions, answering when we were going through how much, how many. Thank you so much for participating, for asking your questions. You guys are awesome. So let's wrap it up then. Okay, guys, that's it for today. You can continue to comment. We'll try to always look at your questions and answer them in the future. And if not, then we'll see you next week. Okay? Bye, everyone. See you next week. Let's see.